Wuornos, you were in the courtroom yesterday when the videotape of your statement about Richard Mallory was played, wasn't it? Weren't you?
Yes, sir.
You saw it in its entirety, didn't you?
Yes.
You didn't make one mention of an anal rape or being tied up or having alcohol squirted in your rectum, did you, during that tape?
I told you that he was getting violent, and also I told you before in the first confession that he was talking about anal screwing.
Did you, in fact, did you see anywhere in that videotape, or did you tell Detective Corsepa at any time that you were strangled with a cord by Mr. Mallory?
Well, every time I tried to start telling you or him about what was happening, he'd interrupt me and ask me how many times was this person shot, what kind of items did you take, did he say anything after when you shot him, where did you leave his car? I never got a chance to ever express myself.
Well,
I was always interrupted.
So you say that the reason you didn't say it then is because you're being interrupted?
Pardon?
You just were cut off. You didn't have a chance to tell it.
Exactly.
Before Detective Corsepa began the interview with you, he said he wanted you to tell him all the facts and circumstances surrounding the Mallory killing, didn't he?
I don't even recall him saying that.
You don't recall him saying that?
No.
Well, what did you think your purpose was when you were sitting there telling him about the Mallory case?
My main purpose was there to confess about Tyra's innocence, and that was all. I didn't have any, I couldn't, there was no way that I could have even remembered. I was hysterical, a shock, and they had forced me to talk, saying that they're going to arrest Tyra Moore if I don't answer their questions on the case, which I didn't want. I was only there to confess about Tyra's innocence because I just got done talking to her on the phone and told her I was going to confess to clear her. I didn't know I was going to have to talk about anything because of that. If I did, believe me, I couldn't remember nothing because I was totally out of it.
Oh. Well, it wasn't because the detective cut you off then. Now you're saying it was because you were totally out of it. Which was it?
Because they cut me off and because I couldn't remember.
Oh, it's because you couldn't remember.
I couldn't remember at all. A lot of things I couldn't remember. I mean, I wouldn't be able to get completely like I just said today.
I mean, you could remember being anally raped if you've been anally raped, couldn't you? I wasn't even interested in telling them certain things because I was interested in Tyra Moore, and I was mad that they have threatened me that if I don't talk to them, they were going to arrest Tyra Moore. So I was pretty well belligerent and stubborn, as well as just saying, well, I'm just here to confess about Tyra. I'm not here to confess about the murders because I just try to clear you that there's not two women, there's one woman. All right, now, as I understand it, you didn't tell about the anal rape and the alcohol. Let me finish. You didn't understand about the anal rape and the alcohol. You didn't talk about that and the tying up because the detective cut you off.
That's right.
Or you didn't tell him because you forgot about it. Or you didn't tell him because you didn't.
There's no or.
Well, that's two of the reasons.
It's all together.
The third reason you gave was now because you were just there to talk about Ty Moore and you were stubborn.
There was a lot of reasons.
Well, how about the rest of
The
it?
reasons are, I'm there to confess that Tyra Moore is innocent, she knows pretty much, which was a flat-out lie because I loved her so much I was protecting her.
Well, are you lying to protect her today?
Oh, I'll be more than happy to explain that Tyra Moore knows more than she's saying and that she knows it's self-defense.
Are you lying to protect her today?
No, I'm not. I will tell you all about Tyra Moore.
All right, you said, let me be sure we have the reasons correct. You said you didn't tell the detective because he cut you off and you didn't have a chance. And or you didn't tell the detective because you couldn't remember it. And or you didn't tell the detective because you're stubborn and you're protecting.
I couldn't remember.
Finish the question, Ms. Wuornos. And you didn't tell the detective because you were stubborn and trying to protect Tyra Moore. Were there any other reasons you didn't tell the detective?
I couldn't remember because I was in a state of shock of Tyra
thinking about Tyra. I told you over and over and over and over again, I'm only here to confess for Tyra. I'm only here to confess for Tyra. And I was totally focused on Tyra. When they asked me a question, when I started to get in the nitty-gritty to explain what happened, they always cut me off and asked me then other questions like how many times was he shot, what kind of items did you take, and when I was starting to get where my memory was going, okay, even if I tried, but then I wasn't really into the mood to talk about the cases, so that's why I couldn't remember, because I was thinking about Tyra, and I was mad that they had forced me into talking about the cases when I only wanted to talk to them about Tyra Jolene Moore.
All right, now you say they forced you to talk about the case?
Yes, they did.
All right, let me ask you this. On the tape, and according to Detective Forzepa's testimony, he advised you fully of your rights before you made any statements at all.
Yeah, and I walked in there, and he talked to me 15 minutes before the tape was put on and the video was put on.
All right, and
it was not on at all. Nothing was. He had to turn the tape on. He had to go and turn the video on. Nothing was on when I talked to him, and that is when they threatened me.
They threatened you?
Yes, they did.
Now, let me ask you this. You were fully advised of your rights and knew you didn't have to make any statement at all, did you?
When I walked in there, they said, I told them I'm here to confess, but I want to just really tell you about Tyra. And I was telling them I'm just here to talk about Tyra. He said, well, that's not going to do any good, because if you're just here to talk about Tyra and not about the cases, I've got Jolene Moore in custody right now, and I will have her here at the Volusia County Branch Jail, and I will have her indicted for first-degree murder as well as you. We believe you are the suspects in this case.
And she was a suspect, wasn't she?
Yes, and I was pretty amazed that she became under protective custody when the police officers arrived in Pennsylvania, that she's under protective custody suddenly when she's a suspect.
And in fact, she's a suspect because you brought the automobiles of men you killed to your dwelling and had her either ride in or drive in, didn't you?
She drove it.
Drove several of them, didn't she?
Objection,
No, she
Your Honor.
didn't.
Objection, Your Honor. Lee, we advise you on the record, do not talk about other cases. They have not been tried. Other juries will hear those. This is about Mallory.
Excuse me, Your Honor, please. I would object to counsel telling his witness not to answer questions.
That's the same objection.
In fact, she was a suspect because you and she were riding in an automobile that was wrecked that you had stolen from a man you killed, correct?
Objection,
I'm
Your
not
Honor.
going to answer.
Same objection.
Your Honor, may we have a brief recess to... I'll get back to that. May I reserve that area for... Now, you indicated that it was because of a series of telephone calls with Tyra Moore that you decided to confess.
Outside the scope, Your Honor, I object.
Objection overruled.
Is that right?
Say that over again.
Yes. You indicated that because you've been on the telephone to Tyra Moore, you decided to confess, protect her.
Yes.
In fact, you talked to her on the phone over a 3-day period on 11 different calls, did you not?
Yes.
And isn't it
Calls
true? I'm sorry.
I was going to say calls at the police officer. The police officers forced Tyra to call me to confess.
Sure. You called her each time.
The police officers wrote that note, had her write a note and told them to have her call me. They had it all planned.
But you called her each time, right?
I called her in the direction of the police directing Tyra Jolene Moore.
No. The police had her set up so they could record your telephone calls, didn't they?
Yeah, they had me set up so that I talked to her about, and her trying to ask me to clear her when Tyra Moore knows more than she's even talking about. I only cleared her because I loved her.
All right, what is it that Tyra Moore knows that
She
she's
wanted to
not...
protect her.
What is it that Tyra Moore knows that she's not talking about?
Objection to the form of the question, Your Honor.
Overruled.
She she knows that it's self-defense, and she is not telling anybody anything.
What else?
It's basically about it.
she knows it's self-defense, and she's not saying anything because she's involved in this books and movies, and she's involved in her family, not losing her family. I know her very well. She doesn't want to lose her family, and she's willing to lie for that in order to, and she's also worried about being arrested for accessory to the fact,
All right,
or after the fact.
if it was self-defense, and you really killed Mr. Mallory in self-defense, how would that jeopardize Tyra Moore?
Objection to the affirmative question, Your Honor.
Rule.
Because Tyra Moore is interested in making her $500 million and more she's already been offered, and it's on a cap waiting for her if I get a conviction.
Well, no, you didn't answer the question. I asked you if in fact it was self-defense and you killed Mr. Mallory because of the things you described, how would that jeopardize, let me finish, how would that jeopardize Tyra Moore?
Because they have to have these people that are involved in books and movies have to have my blood in order to get the money.
Well,
So they're willing to lie.
are you saying it would, I'm asking about jeopardizing Tyra Moore. You said it would jeopardize Tyra Moore if you told a self-defense story. How would that jeopardize her? That was your word.
No, I'm talking about, she doesn't want to say it's self-defense because I believe she is involved with millions of dollars, books and movies, and she doesn't want my acquittal because if I get convicted, she gets multi-millions. So does Mr. Horsenpaw, whatever his name is, Munster, and a lot of you other detectives and police officers that are involved in this, and also that her family is really... she's concerned about her family. She loves her family to the max. Her family's rejecting her. That's tearing her up because I know her to the max. And plus, she is, she's claiming she doesn't know anything because she's afraid, accessory to the fact of, because of knowing any incident whatsoever. So she's claiming, she's pretending she doesn't know anything, not even that I told her it's self-defense or an incident that happened. My goodness, she's even acting like she doesn't even know how long we were in the Zodiac bar the first night we met. She's acting like she doesn't even know where I lived. She knew where I lived. I was living in the car at the time because I just broke up with Tony. She's acting like she doesn't even know some of the apartments we lived in and stuff. I mean, I got 289 lies in her deposition that she gave. Just flat-out lies of just common things. Why is she lying so much? Why does she have to lie about a simple thing?
And you said it's because it would jeopardize her in some way if she didn't tell about your self-defense?
I believe that she is lying about a whole lot of things to keep herself from being any accessory to the fact of anything.
Okay.
She is afraid to tell anything, even if she's even afraid to say it's self-defense because then she is knowledgeable about the situation.
Is there anything else that she knew except the self-defense story?
Ask the answer, Your Honor.
Rule.
What was I?
Yes. Is there anything else that you say she knew that would incriminate her except the self-defense story about Mallory?
She just knows it's self-defense, and she just knows a little bit of what happened, not all, because she'd always tell me, don't tell me the rest because I want to pass a polygraph. If I ever get polygraphed, I'll pass it.
Is that it? You didn't tell her anything else?
I couldn't tell her in detail because I didn't want her to get too involved, but she did hear from me. They were self-defense and just a little bit, and saw the bruises, witnessed the bruises and all, asked me a little bit about this situation, which I'm not.
Now, when you gave your statement to Detective Zeba, you told him that she didn't know anything, didn't you?
I was covering for her totally.
My question is, didn't you tell him she didn't know anything about it?
I was covering for her totally.
You lied to him, didn't you?
Yes.
And you also told him that you kind of got to drinking, and then you just casually mentioned that you'd been drinking and you'd been in the woods with your bicycle and you saw a body in the woods, and that's what you told her. Isn't that what you told her?
That happened 14 days after. That happened 14 days after this.
Your Honor, please may the witness be instructed to first answer yes or no.
Answer your question.
Yes, Your Honor. I would object to her giving a narrative to every question. Many of these call for a yes or no, and then she can explain after she gives her answer.
All right. Go ahead.
In fact, didn't you tell the detectives, and it's on the videotape, that
Objection to the statement, it's on the videotape, guys.
didn't you tell the detectives during the tape statement that you told her, after you got to drinking, that you just found a man in the woods body, right?
Yes?
And you told him that she made some remark to the extent, you're shitting me, right?
Yes.
And she didn't believe you, did she?
It happened 14 days later. On the news, she saw it, and I knew she was going to see the car because she saw the car the first day. It was on the news, the vehicle with the gator tag in the front. I knew she was going to recognize it, so I told her that 14 days after. So I told her that 14 days after. So I told her about the bicycle jazz 14 days after. So she could prepare, because I was going to prepare her to tell her what happened.
Because you knew that was coming. You saw that on the television. You knew she was going to pick it up.
Yes, I did.
And so then you told her that there was this dead guy in the woods that you came across, right?
Asked and answered, Your Honor. Objection.
Overruled.
Right?
Yes, I told her.
But you didn't tell her that you killed him, did you?
Yes, I did.
Oh, when did you tell her that?
The 14th day after he was on TV.
But first you just said you found the body, then you drank a little more and you said you killed him, right?
What?
You began the story when you were drinking that night when it came out on television. First you said you found the body, and then you told her you killed him.
Objection to story, Your Honor.
Overruled.
First she said, I found the body, and then I told him I killed him.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, because I wanted to prepare her, like, how she would react.
And she was
She
surprised.
started reacting.
And she got right upset, didn't she?
At first she didn't believe me.
Did there ever come a time that she believed you?
Yes, after I started telling her, this guy attacked me, I'm trying to tell you, I wanted to prepare you because I've got to tell you, that day that you saw those bruises on my neck and everything, the day we moved with that car, that was Richard Mallory, and he had raped me really bad.
Oh, so you didn't even tell her this rape story until 2 weeks after it happened.
I was scared too because I didn't want her to worry and get scared. She loved me really bad, and I loved her very bad, and I didn't want to just sit there and tell her what happened. It's just,
And then you say that you told her all these details about the alcohol and the anal rape and the tying up and all that?
no, I didn't tell her all the details. I told her I was raped. I told her I was raped, and she asked a few questions, and I told her, I started to get into details. She said, don't tell me no more. Don't tell me no more. I don't want to know no more. She was really pissed off. She was really mad at Mallory for what he done, and she was just really mad.
Now, how close were you at the time?
Very close. Tight as a knot, two peas in a pod. We were right arm, left arm glued together. I mean, we were tight. We loved each other very much.
Trusted each other.
Yeah?
What broke you up?
Pardon?
What broke you up? What broke up the relationship?
When we saw the sketch on the TV, I told her, you're going to have to go to your parents' house. You're going to have to just leave me. And we made arrangements for her to take a bus. And she called her parents and got ready to go up north.
What sketch on TV are you talking about?
Objection, Your Honor.
Overruled.
The sketch of the two girls.
Sketches that are in evidence here in this case?
Yes.
Why did that cause you to break up?
Because too many people knew that Tyra wore a baseball cap, I wore a baseball cap, and that we were always together, and the looks of that sketch fit our features.
And so now, she is a suspect in a murder.
Yes.
Because you and she have been riding in a murdered man's car.
Objection, Your Honor. You don't answer that question.
I'm not going. I'm advised my attorneys. I'm not going to answer that question.
Are you not going to answer any questions about the other 6 murders?
I will state that Ms. Wuornos' attorney and so will Mr. Miller and Ms. Jenkins that on our advice, she will not answer those questions on our advice because those cases have not been tried. Other juries will.
Your Honor, I would, excuse me, Mr. Nelson, let me cut you off for that.
I'm done.
Yes, Your Honor. During the 3 days of telephone calls while you were in the jail and you were talking to Tyra Moore, you called her each time, correct?
I had to. She couldn't call me.
Okay. And to your knowledge, those telephone conversations were all recorded by the police.
I asked her over and over, is she being recorded?
Well, you suspected you were being recorded, didn't you?
No, but I asked her to see if she'd tell me she was or something, because I know Tyra. She might say yes, tell me the truth, but now I've realized that Tyra sure can conceal herself and lie. I never knew she had a black heart like she does, because right now she could help me out if she'd just be honest.
What is it you would want her to say about these murders?
What?
Objection, Your Honor. Lee, do not answer the plural. Take away the yes, Your Honor, and we'll withdraw the advice.
Go ahead, Mr. Taylor.
During those telephone conversations, did not even one single time in 3 days with 11 calls say you've been raped, did you?
I was totally concentrating on her and what she's doing up north, and then when she told me that the police are around, I was totally concentrating on how I've got a cover for her. I never even thought about that.
All right, what were you covering for her? What was it you were trying to cover for her?
That to be a suspect.
Well, she hadn't done anything, had she?
Objection, Your Honor. Asked and answered.
Overruled.
She's accessory. She knows what happened.
Just knowing? She didn't participate in any way?
No, she
Objection, Your Honor. Asked and answered.
Overruled.
She knows that I was raped.
No.
Not in detail, but she knows I was raped and I defended myself.
And you say she knows that because you told her 14 days after it happened. Right?
And yes,
Okay. But you didn't mention it one time during the 3 days of phone calls, did you?
Objection, Your Honor. Asked and answered.
like I said, I wasn't concentrating on any of the self-defense or anything. I was concentrating on when I get in there and confess that she's not involved in a murder, that just solely I am the person that's involved. She is not. I've got to clear her that they got the wrong person they're looking for.
Does that mean that during those 3 days phone calls you did not even one time mention rape?
We didn't even hardly talk about it. We talked about other things.
Does that mean that you
Her
never...
family and stuff.
Does that mean that you never mentioned the rape during the 3 days of phone calls?
That's right.
Okay.
So it was never brought up.
In fact, it was never brought up until months after your arrest, correct? It wasn't brought up with Detective Porzinko, was it?
It sure wasn't, because he didn't give me a chance to say it. He always cut me off.
Or you
And
forgot.
every one of those
Or you
crimes,
forgot.
he cut
If
me
the witness
off.
can answer, Your Honor.
Answer the question again.
He cut me off. He cut me off every time I talked about a rape with any incident.
testimony? Did you talk about rapes with other incidents?
Objection,
I'm
Your Honor.
not going to answer.
Object, Lee, do not answer about other cases. They have not been tried yet.
Your Honor, this is,
Excuse me.
that's one at a time now.
Can we have that catch, Your Honor?
No, sir, it's one at a time. I'm gonna get on them too, Mr. Nolan, you'll refrain from, handling this witness, Ms. Jenkins is the one that handled her.
And if Your Honor, to allow her to answer part of the question and then not allow me to finish the question, tying my hands behind my back.
That's all right. Ms. Jenkins, do you have an objection?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
All right, the objection is sustained. You may proceed, Mr. King.
In fact, during the 3 days of phone calls, more than 65 times you said there was either mistaken identity and that Ty was innocent, correct? Over and over again.
Because in the later portions of the phone, when I kept asking her about if anybody's recorded, I felt just in case she is lying to me, I'm going to not express anything on that phone that would put her in jeopardy.
Or put you in jeopardy.
Right.
You're also looking to protect yourself, aren't you?
Yep.
And that's why over 25 times you said it was a mistaken identity. You said that over and over again, didn't you?
I only said it twice,
Only said it was mistaken identity twice?
I think. I don't remember the phone calls, everything that we said.
Well, could have been more than 25.
I can't remember every word that was said.
Could have been more than 25.
More than 25?
Yes. Like 8.
If you counted them, I don't know. I don't think so, as far as I'm concerned.
How about more than 20?
No?
More than 10?
I don't know. I thought a couple times I said it.
Okay. All right, and more than 25 times on the telephone you suggested that she lied for you, didn't you?
No, I don't recall any part. I told her to please go and tell him the truth, which I thought she would go and tell him self-defense.
Oh, but didn't you say, don't mention me? Tell them the truth, but don't mention me? Didn't you say that over and over again?
I don't recall that. I don't know.
You don't recall asking or suggesting that she lied?
If I did, then I said next that, I don't know, it's a very confusing situation. It's a very intense, scary, shocking moment. A lot of things are mixed and mashed. You just don't think properly. You don't think...
What was shocking about casual phone calls on the telephone to your best
What do you
friend?
mean casual? They started getting where she's talking about her family is being interrogated by police officers.
Now, you talk about drinking beer and how you couldn't wait to get out, things like that too, didn't you?
Yes, but I couldn't tell you what day, when, where, first, second, third time. I
Told her how much you loved her and missed her and things
Yes.
like that. These weren't shocking phone calls, were they?
That was the beginning. That was the beginning. We were talking about how much I loved her and stuff. Yes, I missed her. That was the beginning. The shocking phone calls come at the end.
And if you suspected the police were listening there towards the end, didn't you?
I didn't know. I didn't know if I could believe her or not, so I tried to keep calm on the phone on certain things.
Well, wouldn't this have been an ideal time under this calm circumstance to say, well, you know I had to do it. Let me finish the question. You know I had to do it because I was raped so brutally and had to defend myself. Wouldn't that have been something to say for the police to hear?
I didn't want her to be accessory to the fact.
Be an accessory
I
because...
constantly thought accessory to the fact that she could be charged because she knew about an incident that even lingered for a year before anything was known about it.
That's the first thing you told the police, wasn't it? That she knew about the killing, but she didn't really believe you?
Because at first she didn't believe me.
In other words, almost the first thing out of your mouth, that she's innocent.
Oh yes, I'm lying there though. I'm telling him that she didn't believe me, but I'm covering for her because I don't want her. I'm doing the same thing she's doing, pretending that she knows nothing.
Maybe
And she knows it's self-defense. She knows I was raped.
maybe you're doing the same thing then that you are now, wouldn't you say?
I'm not lying at all. I'm up here telling truth, and I think I'm the only one that's telling truth between my lawyers and me. Especially when I've learned about all this book and movie greed.
All right, let's talk about that for just a minute. You've talked to some movie people about this, haven't you?
I did? Jackie Giroux? We have a lawsuit going on her. We are filing a lawsuit. Major.
Movie producer type person? And you talk about if any money was to be made out of this, you'd like Lee to have it, didn't you?
Lee?
I'm sorry. Ty to have it, didn't you?
No, because if I said anything to her in a letter, which I can't understand how I could have wrote her while I was in jail, because as soon as I got done talking to the detectives, they stuck me in solitary confinement lockdown, shoving pills down me and got me messed up on drugs forcingly. And I didn't have any pen or pencil or paper to write, and you people are saying that those letters came in January in jail, and I don't remember writing any letters whatsoever.
Who was this that was forcing drugs down you?
They had me on Visceral. They had me where I didn't have I didn't have any commissary, not even a Bible, a book, nothing to read, 24/7 in a square little room with nothing to do but come up and say, do you want your pills to help you go to sleep? And of course I took them to sleep, and I got hooked on Visceral. I was taking 2,800 milligrams a week, 16 pills a day. 400 milligrams a day, 16 pills a day, almost killed me. They almost killed me.
But you said the detectives had anything to do with that, was it?
It was a detective's idea. Because
how do you know that?
I sure didn't ask for it. I didn't ask to be put in medical lockup. As soon as I got done with the cops, they shuffled me over there and did that to me.
You're saying the detective or Zapa was forcing you to take pills?
It was a plan, I believe.
This was after you made your tape statement, right? Right?
Yes.
Okay.
You
weren't on pills when you made your tape statement, were you?
No, but I was coming off of alcohol. And I was really still shaking and pretty well withdrawing from alcohol. Heavy drinking.
Did you see the videotape of yourself?
No,
yesterday?
I've only seen that.
You only saw that part?
Mm-hmm.
The short part?
Mm-hmm. I've never seen the whole video.
Did you see any evidence of yourself shaking? Weren't you lighting cigarettes and smoking and being casual?
If you guys think I was, I wasn't. I was very, very nervous and just trying to keep it together as much as I could, but I was shaking and everything. And that's why he gave me his jacket, because I was just shaking like a leaf and it was cold in there, which made it worse.
Well, how many times during these 11 phone calls in 3 days did you even say that you were a victim and tried to rob you? Or that anyone had tried to rob you?
Your Honor, objection asked and answered several times.
Now, what's that question again?
You never once even said that your victim tried to rob you.
Objection, Your Honor, the terms your victim.
Rephrase your question.
You never once said that Mr. Mallory tried to rob you on the telephone, did you?
Why should I? We weren't talking about Mallory. We weren't talking about any incidences. All we were talking about, all I was thinking about, was to clear Ty from being that suspect of the sketches on that TV.
Well, what were you thinking about when you were talking about his mistaken identity?
The sketches. In case the tape was rolling, if there were some police officers there, I was protecting her over the phone.
And you even said that you were going to sue law enforcement if you got arrested for this, did you? Or sue the county?
Who knows? I was withdrawing from alcohol so bad, I was so confused and so scared about Tyra that I couldn't function properly. I don't know what I was saying. I don't know. I was totally I was in Pluto. scared out of my wits. Caring about Tyra, I loved her to the max. I must have told her 25 times a day, I love you.
You said that you were supporting Tyra more. She really wasn't working. Is that what you've been telling the jury?
I've supported her for 3.5 years. The last year she worked. But she made such little money, I had to still work.
Well, didn't you continue to tell detectives that she worked all the time?
No, she didn't work. I meant she worked all the time at Casa Del Mar. It's directly talking about Casa Del Mar when I say that.
Didn't you also say all she does is go to work and come home and then go back and go to work?
That's
Doesn't do
Casa
anything
Del
else?
Mar. That's
Doesn't do
Casa
anything
Del
but work.
Mar.
And when you spoke to Detective Corzepa and told him what you had told Ty, what you told him was that you told her you found a body, but you're just bullshitting her, in your words, because you were real drunk. Remember saying that?
What I meant was I was saying that there's a lot of times I'd be drunk and I would just bullshit with her. Oh, but that's when I was lying about her, yeah. Trying to make her sound like she didn't know anything. Yeah, okay, I got you. I know what you're talking about. I can't remember what those confessions say either, so.
Hard to keep the story straight, isn't it?
Objection, Your Honor, badgering.
Hard to keep the story straight, isn't it?
No, it's hard to remember what you're talking about. Because I'll tell you right, when you just asked me that question, I don't know what you were talking about as far as what it was about. Like, was I talking on the phone? I didn't know you were reading out of the confession.
Now, the reason you were a prostitute is because you made really good money at it, right?
Yes.
In fact, a little indication was that you went out and sold yourself 6 or 7 days each week.
I went out anywhere from 4 to 7. It varied. There's times I only went out 3 days a week, but it varied. But basically, I went out 4 to 7. Because there's very few times I went out 3 times a week. Mostly, I went out 4 to 7 times a week. Yes.
And you had sex with 3 to 8 guys each time.
Yeah, because it varies. You never know how many you're going to have. You just keep hustling till the day's through.
And you were charging how much per sex act?
30 for head, 35 straight, 40 for half and half, 100 an hour.
Well, you make anywhere between $600 and $1,000 a week.
Well, you're right, and that's where all the money went in bars with Tyra. Fancy clothes and beer drinking.
You're capable of holding other jobs, aren't you? You've done other work.
I don't have the qualifications for other jobs. I've always been fired, and I've never been able to hold a job. The only thing I know how to do is prostitution well. It's the only thing I know how to do.
Well, you get paid more doing that than anything else you've ever done, don't you?
It's good money, but it's also the only thing I really know how to do.
Well, you also
I've done it all my life.
You also like it, don't you? You like it.
Well, I like the sex, and I like some of the clients I meet become like my brothers, but it's a job. That's just part of being a prostitute.
Right, but it was kind of a rolling road party, wasn't it?
Your Honor, object. Relevancy. It's also addressing character.
No, because you have to watch yourself and be careful, and you've got to, keep a level head on your shoulders. It's a job. It's not exciting, like super exciting. You have to keep a good head on your shoulders and just do your job and hope you don't, run into jerks and stuff.
Well, you like the sex and you like the money.
Yes, I like the sex and I like the money, yeah.
And you like the contact with the different men.
Mm-hmm.
And then there came a time that you decided to arm yourself, start carrying a pistol, correct?
Yes.
And you said there was a reason for that. Tell us again, if you would, the reason you felt
Plainly
necessary
for
to carry a
protection.
pistol. I'm sorry.
I carried it plainly for protection.
All right, you said that over a period of time, men had tried to rape you or raped you.
I've been raped many a times. And it never worked when I had weapons of other weapons. I never could defend myself. So I finally got a gun where it would be defense.
Well, how many times during the 4.5 years you lived with Ty Moore did you have to defend yourself?
I was raped 3 times. And there was 2 other incidents where I had a gun, but I didn't use it. They just had their fun. They were young guys. I didn't need to hurt them because they didn't use any weapons on me or anything. And the other 3, I had 2 gas guns and a bullfighter, and I got raped and beat up royal on those.
All right, so you say there are 5 times you had to defend yourself with weapons while you were being raped, but didn't have to use a gun?
Yeah, and the 2 guys that were, one looked like about 22 and the other 27, that's when I had the gun just before Mallory.
Were there any times that you did use a gun to defend yourself from rape?
Objection, Your Honor. Same objection. Don't answer the question.
In the scope of the cross, Your Honor.
I think you can answer that question.
He asked before.
Right. Before.
State, what?
Well, the question, and I'll maybe try to make sure that's clear. How many times during the 4.5 years you were living with Ty Moore did you have to use a gun on someone to defend yourself?
Objection, same grounds. If he asked before, Mallory, we have no objection. We don't answer the question.
Rephrase your question.
How many times before you killed Mr. Mallory while living with Ty Moore did you have to shoot someone to defend yourself from rape?
I couldn't. I didn't have a vehicle. I didn't have a pistol, a weapon.
But if you had, you'd used it earlier.
I tried with Mace Mat, and I've got beat up and raped. It didn't work.
If you had a gun those other times you shot men,
Asked and answered, Your Honor.
Yeah.
he hasn't answered that.
Yes, you overruled. Go ahead.
Well, in the advice of my attorneys, I'm not going to answer that question.
No, she hasn't instructed you not to answer that. Was you shot men before that and you had a gun earlier?
Well, I'll just answer it like this. Every situation is totally different. I couldn't answer that question.
All right, well, how about just the 5 men you said that raped you before Mallory? Would you have shot them?
I don't know. I don't know. Every incident is totally different.
Well, I guess the question is...
If it's very violent and physical, I'm going to defend myself. Yes, everybody has a right to defend themselves. That's what I did. These were violent rapes, and the other ones I had to beg for my life. I had a double-barrel shotgun against my head. I had a .357 Magnum against my head.
When was that?
In the rapes.
Wasn't in any of these others?
With the rape.
Wasn't in any of the men you killed, though?
Objection, Your Honor. Don't answer the question.
Did you ever kill anyone that had threatened you with a .357 Magnum or a sawed-off or a shotgun to your head?
I couldn't. I didn't.
Objection, Your Honor. As long as he focuses it on before Mallory, I have no objection. If he doesn't, Lee, don't answer the question.
Okay.
Rephrase the question.
Did you ever kill anyone that threatened you with a .357 Magnum?
I
Same
did.
objection, Your Honor.
For this time.
Did you ever kill anyone before you killed Mr. Mallory that threatened you with a .357 Magnum?
No. I didn't have a gun on me. And I didn't bullfighter and the gas gun. They always got from me and put the weapons on me, making me beg for my life.
Did anyone after you killed Mr. Mallory ever threaten you with a .357 Magnum?
Anyone
Objection, Your Honor. Same objection.
after?
Don't answer the question.
Your Honor, that has nothing to do with the 6 murders.
Objection, Your Honor. We move for mistrial.
Did you ever kill anyone before you killed Mr. Mallory that threatened you with a shotgun?
How could I? He had the shotgun on me.
Is your answer no?
No, yes.
Did you ever, and there may be an objection, so wait until your counsel has an opportunity, did you ever kill anyone after you killed Mr. Mallory that threatened you with a shotgun?
Objection, Your Honor. Same grounds. Lee, don't answer the question. Your Honor, may we have a hearing outside the presence of the jury?
Not now.
May I reserve argument, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Now, you knew it was a crime to prostitute, didn't you?
3 million other women do it too. It's an everyday thing. It's been going on for centuries. And I wasn't doing anything out there wrong or mean to anybody. What they did was mean to me. I was very kind, very nice, had a very ladylike attitude. I didn't do anything wrong to them. I didn't even hardly swear. I talked about religion and politics and even talked about trying to save the Lord with some of them. I mean, I talked about Jesus coming soon. And I was very kind. There was no reason to attack me.
You said what they did was mean to you?
What they did to me was violent and mean.
Who are you talking about?
We're here on Richard Mallory, and I'm talking about Richard Mallory right now.
You said they.
I'm not going any further into this.
I would advise you not to go further into that, Lee.
I would ask her to go further, Judge. She brought it up.
Same objection.
So you think it's okay to violate the law if a lot of other people do?
Everybody does.
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance.
Overruled.
Everybody prostitutes, even housewives, and so do the men. They're out there. They're the ones with the money, putting it on the hook, saying to us prostitutes, here we are. If they would keep their money in their back pockets, their penis in their pants, they wouldn't be feeding prostitution. They're the ones that feed it. We're just out there making our money.
Kind of like a friendly drug dealer.
Objection, Your Honor.
There was no harm in it. It was like a date.
I move for curative, Your Honor.
If I walk in a bar,
You have a motion today?
Yes, Your Honor.
Overruled in that matter.
Okay.
if I walk in,
For mistrial.
Today.
Thank you.
if I walk in a bar and I meet a guy, which I never worked at bars, truck stops, CVs, rest areas, street walk, nothing of that. I just strictly hitchhiked prostitution. Now, if I walked in a bar though, and there was a guy there that I wanted to go to bed with, and we go to bed without money, and to me, that's just like prostitution and adulteress right there too. But here, let's say we go to bed and he offers me money. And we don't hurt each other. What's the difference? What's the difference? We've agreed upon sex with each other. Only thing is, he's giving me a little money to help me, and I'm helping him. It's just, what's the difference? It's like friendship. Here's a loan even. I mean, it's just plain friendship. There's nothing wrong with it. We're not hurting anybody. We weren't hurting anybody. They're hurting us.
So you think you have a right to disregard the law if you disagree with it?
Well, I'll tell you, it's the only thing I could do anyway. That was my job. I wasn't hurting anybody out there.
Well, that's not true, is it?
I wasn't hurting anybody out there. I'm the victim, as far as I'm concerned. He had no reason to rape me. He had no reason to do what he did to me. I didn't provoke him in any way.
You didn't hurt anyone out there, is what you said. Is that
No.
correct?
Never. They hurt me.
Who hurt you? Who
I'm
said?
talking about the earlier rapes and everything. I didn't have a gun. I couldn't defend myself. If I tried to defend myself, I came close to death so many times. I had to beg for my life. I had to carry a gun for protection. It's the only thing I knew what to do as far as work. I've done it all my life, and it's the only thing I could do. But now the years are getting further into a very
Excuse me,
high-rise crime,
I didn't ask you a question. I'll ask you one in just a moment.
further into other incidences. I'm only here for the Richard Mallory case.
Well, I'm only trying to ask you is why you killed 6 other men. Was it the same reason?
Your Honor,
I'm here for one trial. I'm here for first-degree murder, one count in this county.
Your Honor, I ask that you instruct the jury. And Lee, I would ask that you might answer the question.
Isn't it a fact that you had a pattern of hitchhiking the highways and selecting middle-aged men above 35, 37, on up into their 60s?
No. I dated guys from anywhere from 28 and up. And in my confession, if it says older, I just, like I say, I wasn't in my right mind where I could stop and rationalize to think what some of the things I wanted to say, because my mind was doing 100 things and 100...
And isn't it true that you generally contacted these men along the major thoroughfares and interstate highways of the state of Florida?
Pardon?
You generally contacted these men on the interstate highways or the major highways of the state?
I hitchhiked and prostitute. That's what I did.
Primarily out of
Hitchhike and prostitute.
Primarily out of the Daytona Beach area, the Central Florida area?
I'd worked the whole Florida state. I worked the whole Florida state. I-10, I-95, I-75, I-27, 50, 41, 44, anywhere. A whole Florida state.
And it was your pattern, was it not to tell them that you were a prostitute so that you could make money?
No, because a lot of times I got in a car and they asked me if I was dating. If I'd want to date. They propositioned me many a times. A lot of the guys pulled over was strictly for sex. It wasn't like giving a girl a ride to the next exit. It was strictly to pick me up for a date. They knew I was out there for a date. I'm sure every other girl that's hitchhiking out there gets propositioned by a guy. As soon as they get picked up, I bet you they get propositioned by a guy. Because most of the times I didn't have to ask them, they asked me.
Well, you heard Bobby Kokas talk about you asking
He
him.
didn't pick me up. I don't even know him. And I think furthermore that Jackie Giroux knows him, that he called her up about something about a movie, and he is bold-facedly lying up here just to get some media attention, because I've never seen the man in my life. I wouldn't, plus I don't go to truck stops. And I don't ride with truckers.
You denied that you went over to him and asked for a ride, saying you need to get back to your children, where your sister was?
You guess what? My sister, I haven't called her for 10 minutes, 1986. I haven't seen her since 1976.
I'm not suggesting you told the truth. I'm asking, is that what you told him?
No, I didn't see the man. I don't know who he is. I never seen him. I didn't tell him nothing because I've never been in his car. I don't know him. I've never seen him. Plus, I don't think I deal with somebody that fat anyway. He was too big of a guy, and I don't deal in truck stops.
Oh, you're not the one that hollered after him?
He's too big of a guy. I wouldn't have trusted being with him.
He's not the one that you hollered after him? Fat old son of a bitch, I'll kill you too, like I did the others?
Yeah, I did not. He never picked me up. I've never, especially at truck stops. I don't work truck stops. I don't walk in truck stops. I think truckers are too dirty.
Your testimony is then he's just lying, right?
He's lying. Yes, he is.
And you say because he wants to make money in a movie or something?
I'll tell you how much I think he's lying. He says I had a purse. The police officers got my purse, the brown one. My gun does not fit that purse. You can check it.
You generally carried your gun in a little bag, didn't you?
I carried my gun in a tote bag.
And you
He says a purse.
You even
It doesn't
practiced
fit
with that.
the purse.
You even practiced with that. See how fast you can get it out. Kind of a quick draw practice.
Oh, yes. I doubt that. No.
Oh,
No,
you
never.
didn't?
Never happened.
You ever tell anyone that?
What do you mean? It never even happened. I never did that in my life.
Never
When I get home, I'm too tired. I just set the bag down or in the closet and go to sleep.
You never practiced getting it out fast so you shoot fast.
No, of course not. And I think you made that up royal.
You know Dr. McMahon?
Objection, Your Honor. May we approach?
No, objection overruled.
You know Dr. McMahon?
Yes?
Your Honor, I believe you ruled on this prior to the question.
Well, I don't know what the question is, you better rule it today.
Do you know it's against the law to carry concealed firearms, don't you?
Yes.
And
But I took that risk because I had to use protection.
you also
And
know...
also,
Pardon me?
if I wasn't a convicted felon, I would have bought a gun and carried it. But since the law won't let us felons, once we get out of prison, protect ourselves with a weapon, they just say, go ahead and get killed, we don't care. We have to just forget the law and carry it anyway. Because there's a lot of people that have been going convicted felons coming out of prison, and they're just as decent people as can be, yet you say we can't carry a weapon. We've got to protect ourselves. There has to be a way to protect ourselves.
So
We can't use our hands.
You're even a victim of the law.
Objection, Your Honor.
Overruled.
You're even a victim of the law.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, you just said because of the law.
Oh. We can't use our hands, is what I'm saying. We have to have a weapon. Were you trying to tell us us convicted felons cannot defend ourselves? We have to have a way to defend ourselves.
They think that all convicted felons should be allowed to carry guns.
Objection, Your Honor.
Well,
Is that what you're saying?
say what I didn't hear what you
So
said.
you think that convicted felons should be allowed to carry guns?
Because a lot of them do turn into the Lord, and a lot of them are very decent people and very straightforward people. So they broke the law. Everybody breaks the law, and I bet you do too. Matter of fact, you drive a car and pollute the earth.
And some of them shoot men to death in cold blood, don't they?
Objection, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Some of them shoot men to death in cold blood, don't they?
No, they don't. I didn't shoot anybody in cold blood. Although I would have been out there decaying instead.
You've never shot anyone in cold blood?
That's right.
Objection, Your Honor.
16.
I don't have the heart to shoot somebody in cold blood.
Did you ever shoot a man in the back of the head because he was
Objection,
struggling?
Your Honor.
Objection.
I'm not going to answer that question if it does not come up with this case. So, different circumstances to different reasons and circumstances, and I don't need to answer that. It has nothing to do with Richard
Would you
Miller.
like to answer it?
No, I'm not going to.
Lee, I'm instructing you not to answer any questions about anything other than Richard Mallory. I'm asking you not to talk about it.
Maybe the council would like to get us an answer.
No, that's not.
Objection.
Your Honor, do I have permission to talk now that Mr. DeWar has spoken?
No, sir.
Thank you, Judge.
We'll get both of you in that.
Thanks, Judge.
Say, go get me some tape.
Now,
Rather than you leave the courtroom, do we have someone, Captain Massey, in the hall that can attend to that task? And we thank you, Mr. Bailey, for being here to see. Captain Massey, will you attend to that for me?
jury, when Ms. Jenkins was examining you, that Mr. Mallory solicited you for sex?
No. When we got to Quail Run, he asked me how I know so much about married people. He said, I thought you were single. You told me you had a roommate. And I said, well, I guess it's time for me to be honest and tell you that I hustle for a living. That's why I know married people, because 98% of my people are married that I meet.
You propositioned him then?
He asked me my prices. He said, well, you mean sex? And I said, I laughed, and I said, yes, sex. And he said, well, how much do you charge? And it carried on from there.
You say that was after you got off the interstate?
Yes?
Didn't you tell Deputy Horzepa that after he offered you the drink and you just got past Orlando and your words were getting pretty drunk now and we're continually going down the road and we're getting drunk royal, and I asked him if he wanted to help me make some money, because I need some money for rent and everything. He was interested at the time, so we go out and we stop at this place on US 1.
Okay. I was very incoherent, and when I was saying something, it always was chopped up what was happening because I couldn't remember correctly, plus I was thinking of Tyra confessing, but that still means that yes, at Quail Run that happened, not past Orlando, but I'm talking about we've got past Orlando, now we're in Daytona. I'm sure that's how I was thinking. We finally got past Orlando, now we're on US 1, which we were on US 1 on Quail Run. And then we talked about sex and
then you agreed to take your clothes off. You took your clothes off. And that was usual for you, wasn't it?
I always usually took my clothes off first with any guy, just because, I mean, that is if we're doing sex for an hour or whatever. You know, it's not with head or anything, just for an hour.
All right. Then according to your first statement to Detective Horzepa, at that time he gave you some money.
He didn't give me any money. I told you guys he didn't give me any money.
No, that's what you said today. You said he didn't give you any money, right?
He didn't give me any money. He never gave me any money.
But you told Deputy Horzepa back in January of 91 when you took your taped statement that he gave you the money.
No, and then I recorrected myself later in the pages. You should read on. And I also told him it was a different story. And the handbag deal is not even with Richard Mallory. It's a totally different guy. I was getting mixed up. And plus, he kept asking me about somebody else and somebody else and somebody else and switching me around so many times. I was confused on who was who I was thinking of.
Well, here was your statement that you were talking about Mallory. And it's just below you where you talk about proposition him on page 5. We get to page 6 at the bottom. And you said, so we go to the woods. And say, okay, I want a drink of this stuff, and it's about 5, and I'm just start making, and so he gives me the money, and I start to disrobe.
And I think,
pardon me?
And I think if you check on page 9 or something, it states, no, he didn't give me any money.
We'll get there. And he said, now this guy's getting really he's starting to get a little, kissing me and stuff. Anyway, he hasn't disrobed himself at all. That was Mr. Mallory, wasn't it?
Yes, I was thinking about the very last seconds of what happened when he didn't take off his clothes at that moment when I'm speaking.
You're still talking about Mr. Mallory on page 7. You said, okay, so anyway, we're in the front seat. He's hugging and kissing on me and all this shit. And so then he starts, pushing me down. And I said, wait a minute, get cool. You don't have to get rough, This is, let's have fun. This is for fun, And he's telling me, well, baby, I've been waiting for this all night long and stuff like that. And that was in the front seat of the car. That was Mallory, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I did not express that correctly. I was totally incoherent, and if you read on, I think it says it's a different story.
We'll get there. And then you go on, and at this time, you're in the passenger seat, and he's in the driver's seat, right? Yep.
Now, who's in the passenger seat? What'd you say?
You're in the passenger seat,
yes.
and he's in the driver's seat. And he's behind the wheel of the car. correct? Answer yes or no, please.
Yes. I mean, he's behind the wheel of the car, you said? Yes.
Okay. And you say the doors are open. Then you said he's really getting heavy, on me, and stuff. And I'm going like, he's getting to where he just wants to just, unzip his pants, not take his pants off or anything. Just start having sex and stuff. Is that Mr. Maury you're talking about?
That's it. Very last, and when I pulled the cord and everything, he didn't take his clothes off.
Nowhere before that do you mention a cord at all.
I didn't get a chance to. I told you guys about anal screwing with Mallory in the beginning, and I don't know how it goes, how he questions me. I haven't even been able to read those.
You haven't been able to read the transcript that you're
I have read it, but I don't remember what it says. But I just know that I was questioned improperly, where I was totally mixed up. I was totally incoherent. I was in shock, hysteria. I was thinking about Ty. I was freaking about her because they said they were going to arrest her. I couldn't remember. I was withdrawing from alcohol royal. I had been on a 7-week royal binge of drinking, or no, not 7, 5-week royal binge of drinking since she left me because I was all bummed out about her leaving me. I was totally gone up here. I did not know what. I did the best of my ability, but plus I didn't know what to say. I knew in my mind I didn't want to talk about it because I couldn't remember. I had blackouts.
But you told in great...
So I did the best I could.
You told
I could.
Excuse me. You told in great detail of the location, geographically, road-wise, and everything else where you were picked up, did you?
With who?
With Mr. Mallory.
When?
Well, how many
With
times?
who?
How many times did he pick
Who are
you
you
up?
talking about?
Well, let's talk about all of them if you like.
No. Who are you talking about?
First,
Who do I talk this to? My lawyers or?
yes, you told in great detail to Mr. Detective Forzeppa where Mr. Mallory picked you up.
Oh, yeah, just I-4, I-75.
The whole conversation, how you two got along, and all that sort of
No, I didn't. I said just I-4 and I-75 in Tampa.
And you said you did a lot of talking and you thought he was a nice guy.
On the way from Tampa to Daytona, yes, we talked a lot.
And then you told him that when he wouldn't unzip his pants, you said to him, and well, why don't you just disrobe or something? Why do you have to have your clothes still on?
No, because I didn't know what I was talking about on that one, because I told you it was a different story. I confused myself with other guys. And I'm not going to get into other details of the other cases because they're totally different what happened today. And it was a rape.
What other story are you talking about now?
I don't know. I'm going to tell you, I was incoherent in those confessions, and I don't know what I'm talking about because all I'm talking about in 25 pages is Claire and Tyra, Jolene Moore.
You're talking about killing a man.
Pardon?
You're talking about killing a man in 25 pages.
No.
The only place you talk about Claire and Tyra Moore generally is at the start of these transcripts.
I said it 37 times I stated Claire, or 17 times I stated Claire and Tyra, and 20, I think it's 37 times, something like that, about confessing only for Tyra. No, confessing only for Tyra 17 times.
Right. You say this is some other person you were talking about that wouldn't unzip his pants and you got mad?
Pardon?
You said this is some other person.
Objection, Your Honor, is going into the same area again, same objection. I would direct her not to answer the question.
I don't know what it is.
I'm just getting just as confused as when these confessions were being questioned. I don't understand what you're getting at.
All right, try to listen to the question. You said that this person who wouldn't unzip his pants to have sex is someone else. Who is that? Who is that other person you're talking about?
What did read that over? I don't even know what he's talking
That's
about.
not what she said.
It's not what I said in there, I think.
Were you asking Ms. Jenkins or were you answering questions?
Well, apparently, I just heard, it's too late now, that's not what it says in there. You're just making up something.
No, she said that wasn't what she said.
Oh.
You think I'm making up something here?
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about because I don't know what you're reading.
All All right, here's what I asked you.
What page?
Page 7
Okay. On Mallory.
on Mallory, and you said, now like he's getting to where he just wants to, unzip his pants, not take his pants off or anything. He starts having sex and stuff. And I said, well, why don't you just disrobe or something, why do you have your clothes still on?
Okay. There, it must be when I first asked him to disrobe. See, I'm mixed up. I'm mixed up totally. I asked him to disrobe because it was getting cold in the car. I said, why don't you undress so let's get started. It's cold in here. So I know that's what part I'm talking about there.
All right, and you said, that's where, just before that, you said he's kissing on you and getting heavy. Is that what you're talking about?
Then, that's what I'm saying. I was totally mentally blocked. Totally. I had blackouts completely about that night, what happened exactly. And I'm just choppy as can be.
Well, when you
So
said
what?
When you said you're in the front seat, he's kissing, hugging, you talked about Mr. Mallory, right?
Richard Mallory never even kissed and hugged me. He did that after he was raping me.
So when you told,
And if I said he's getting heavy on me, kissing and hugging me, that's rape.
I see.
Heavy means rape.
Although you've offered to have sex, you're laying there naked on your back.
Objection, Your Honor.
Overruled.
You've offered to have sex, and you're laying there naked on your back, and the man paid you, and you say it's rape when he's kissing and getting on
He
you?
didn't pay me. And I don't know what you're talking about. He didn't pay me. He's not kissing me because for regular sex. He raped me. This is when he gets heavy, and I don't know what you're talking about.
And then you went on to say, then he started getting violent with me, and we're fighting a little bit. Is that what you said?
Well, the way I talk, it's like, we were fighting a little bit, and, that's the way I talk.
But you expanded upon that today to tell the story of being tied up and raped.
Well, we did fight a little bit. It wasn't a whole lot of fighting when I grabbed his arms at the very end, and he slapped me in the face. It didn't last 5 minutes. Only lasted half a minute at the most,
Then
maybe
you
a
go
minute.
on with a fight little bit, you said, and I had my purse right there on the passenger floor. And then you said, no, it wasn't about the purse, it was a blue bag.
That's right. I carried a tote bag.
Could it have been the brown purse you had with Bobby Copas?
I did, yeah. Why don't you check that gun and see if it fits? Because I'm telling you it doesn't. And Bobby Copas doesn't know what he's talking about because Bobby Copas never picked me up.
All right, well, onto the blue bag. You said you had a blue bag and you had it zipped on the side, and it was unzipped because you wanted to make sure if anything happened, I could use my gun. Things were starting to happen where I think he was going to roll me, take my money back. What are you talking about?
Well, probably what I'm thinking is that this guy is going to just rape me, take my money, kill me, whatever, dump me off. I don't know. Maybe he thinks I have $500-600 on me.
Take my money back. You're talking about the money that he gave you earlier.
He never gave me any money. No way.
You said, or beat me up, or whatever.
When I say take my money back, I'm sure that's just I was doing okay heroin. I wasn't even talking like that. It's just like my expression, the way I was expressing myself.
Here's your words as to why you're starting to grab for this gun. You say, I think he was going to roll me, take my money back, beat me up.
Does it say?
Let me finish. I'm reading your statement. I think he was going to roll me, take my money back, beat me up, or whatever the heck he was going to do.
Yeah, doesn't it say this is a different story at the end?
So I jumped out. And you say you're not talking about Mallory there? Miss Mallory?
I may be talking a little bit about him, but then I might be talking about somebody else in it. So that's why I said, wait a minute, this is all messed up.
Well,
Because like I'm trying to tell you.
Well, if this isn't Mr. Mallory, who are you talking about?
Objection, Your Honor, same objection, leave to answer the question.
I couldn't get
Leave,
each.
don't answer the
Okay.
question.
Mr. Horzaba only asked you about Mr. Mallory, didn't he?
He just asked me about Mr. Mallory.
Right. Did Detective Munster ask you about the others?
No, Horzaba questioned me on a couple others.
But in any event, at this point, you've been talking about Mallory according to the questions and the answers you gave that point, correct?
Say that over.
Yes, you were talking about Mallory, and you said, so I jumped out of the car with my bag and I grabbed the gun.
No, because I didn't never get out of the car. So I'm saying I never had it. I was never coherent enough to tell you what actually happened because there was too many blank spots. I had to sit back, put all the pieces together. This person, what happened. I had to get. I was drunk as could be that night. I had to try to remember, like, what did happen exactly, precisely, and everything. I couldn't tell you guys. And if I started to, like I say, every time I messed up and wanted to start over, you guys interrupted me. You talked about Richard Mallory, and then, 11 or 12 pages later, then you come back to Mallory again after you've gone through a whole bunch of jazz about some other stuff. Had me confused. And then you talk about, the detective Munster or Horsefa or whatever would talk about a sausage truck guy, and then ask me about, well, did you find his wallet?
And
then he was talking about Richard Mallory.
Excuse me, Ms. Wuornos, I don't have a question for you based upon what you're doing now. Let me just finish this question. You said, I jumped out of the car with my bag and I grabbed the gun. And I said, get out of the car. And he said, what? What's going on? I said, you son of a bitch. I knew you were going to rape me. And he said, no, I wasn't. No, I wasn't.
And why don't you read the rest? It says it's a different story.
Is that what you said? That what you said?
Maybe what I said, but it's wrong because it wasn't. I was not coherent, and it is totally about somebody else, which I'm not going to talk about.
Well, how about here? In later on, you said, oh no, that wasn't it. Is that where you corrected?
Your Honor, I'm going to object unless he's willing to give her a copy of the transcript. It's impossible for her to recall.
That's serious.
I appreciate that.
Can I change papers while we're doing this?
Yes, sir. We're ready to change
Page, Counselor?
Okay.
Page 7. Okay. Are you with me? He said, get out of the car. That's you speaking. He said, what's going on? And I said, you son of a bitch, I knew you were going to rape me. He said, no, I wasn't. No, I wasn't. And I said, oh, yes, you were. You know you're going to try to rape me, man. So anyway, I told him, step away from the car. And then he said, oh, no, I didn't. All this is another thing, okay? I know what happened, okay? I jumped out of the car. Now we say I jumped out of the car, you're talking about Mallory again, right?
Wait.
Yes.
I got page 7, and I don't see anything you're talking about here.
I'm sorry, page 8 now. Start on page 7.
Okay.
You said, oh, no, I didn't. All this is another thing, okay? I know what happened, okay? I jumped out of the car. And that was Mallory you're talking about.
No, because I told you, he was starting to get physically do stuff to me. Oh, this is a different story. God, see it so long ago. And that's why I'm totally incoherent. I can't remember everything. You guys are asking me questions about these incidences that happened. When my mind's focused on Tyra, I only came here to confess. I don't know what I'm doing here talking to you guys about the other things. And I'm like, well, should I even answer these questions? I really don't want to. And I'm also confused anyway when I start talking about them that I get mixed up with different people because you guys keep asking me, okay, it's all right, take your time. And then you say, yeah, okay, I jumped out of the car, I pulled my gun out when he started to physically do shit with me. And now, what type of gun do you have? Now, you don't even let me go on. I mean, they weren't letting me go on. Or nothing, to recorrect myself or anything. They kept... Now he just asked me about... Now, for the next 11 pages, he's talking about all different guys. White pickup truck, and I say, what white pickup truck? I don't recall a white pickup truck.
Lee, I'm going to instruct you not to talk about any other charges.
All right.
You have cases pending.
You went on to say that, on that same page, that this was a 9-shot, 22 caliber pistol, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And that it was fully loaded?
Yeah, I usually carried it loaded.
Does this appear to be that pistol? Exhibit 20?
Mm-hmm.
Now, is your pistol?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
Now, is the pistol you killed Richard Mallory with? Yes?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Pistol that you threw away under Rose Bay Bridge in Volusia County, correct?
Yes.
Nearly a year later, right?
Pardon?
Nearly a year later, you threw it away.
Mm-hmm. The advice to Tyra Jolene Moore?
Now you say Tyra Moore advised you to throw the pistol away?
Yes, she did.
When did she do that?
The very last stages of our relationship. I told her I was going to go ahead and quit hustling, and she said, just throw the gun away in the river or something.
At that time, did she know that you had killed 7 men with it?
Your Honor, objection, same grounds. Lee, don't answer that question.
At that time, did she know you had killed Richard Mallory with it?
Yes, because she knew it was self-defense. I told her 14 days later about the bruise and everything, and I told her what happened, and she knows it's self-defense.
Was there any other reason that you know of that she told you to throw it away?
No, because she used to tell me, do you got your gun? Do you have your rubbers? Make sure that you clean the vehicles out very good. If you ever run into an incident like that again, don't let anybody hurt you, honey. You've been violently raped, and I don't never want to see anybody do anything like that to you again.
Did you ever tell her about any violent rapes after Mallory or attempted?
Objection, Your Honor, same grounds. Lee, don't answer the question.
Now, you'd only had that gun for maybe a couple of months at most, or maybe as short as a couple of days, right?
I've had it for at least ever since Rutland, which I don't know. Somebody has to check up and see. When I lived in Rutland, before Ocean Camp Village Campground, that's when I got the gun.
Was there a record where you purchased it?
Objection, Your Honor.
As for approach,
Let me approach.
I'm not going to answer it.
I think we need to.
But if she's not going to answer it, we don't need to go anywhere. Respectfully, Your Honor.
Yes.
Well, on page 9 of your transcript of your deposition, you first say that they asked you how long you'd had it, months, years. You said, I don't know, man. It might have been about maybe a couple of months ago. And then Detective Porzave said, okay, you had the gun quite a long time. You again said, no, only a couple of months before. And he said, right. And then you said, I think, and he responded, that's no problem. Then you said, I might have got the gun just then. I can't remember, like 2 days before or something.
Well, like I said, what are you supposed to do? Stop the clock? Let me heal my mind from my hysteria and everything else. I'm not going to answer any questions coherently. I was incoherent. I was hysteria. I was just totally in Pluto. So whatever I said didn't make sense, basically. And I read one time this confession, and it shows nothing but hysteria, and incoherence. There is no coherence whatsoever, hardly at all, in this confession. It shows I am freaking out. And so any questions that I answer are not going to be coherent, or, if you even want to say honest, because I can't be honest, because I can't say the truth of what's happening, because I'm incoherent. I don't know. And I'm telling you right now, I got the gun in Rutland, so take it from there. That's all I can do.
Well, then on that same page, the discussion concerning Mr. Mallory resumes. That's page 9. And Detective Porzave said, okay, so you're back there, you jump out of the car, Your response was, I jumped out of the car because he was physically starting to abuse me. Page 9, next to the bottom.
Okay.
And I remember now, he didn't give me any money. This was another guy. This guy. He said, well, I'll give you no. I said, well, I always take my money first. See how the merchandise is. And then the question, this was Mr. Mallory told you? Your answer, yes.
Mm-hmm. I do recall him saying something about merchandise, but that was...
Okay. There's no question you jumped out of the car, though, with Mr. Mallory before you shot him.
No, I jumped out of the car after he was shot 3 times, and I ran to the driver's side, opened the door, was looking at him. He was starting to come out at me, and I just said, don't come any closer to me or something like that. I'm going to have to keep shooting you if you do. And he just kept on coming, and so I shot him.
All right, so you shot him 3 times from, according to you, inside the car, right?
I shot him 3 times, yeah.
And that's not an automatic pistol. You have to pull the trigger and cock it.
No, it shoots real easy.
Really?
It's got like a hairpin trigger to it.
And after you shot him 3 times, where did those bullets hit him?
Well, all I know is that he was reaching his arm, and since I've seen from you guys, one must have went under there. And I don't know where the others at. They went in the front area. I don't know where.
Then you got out the passenger door and ran all the way around the car, correct?
Yeah.
According to this story.
Mm-hmm.
And then you opened the door, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then you shot him again.
He was coming out of the car, and I do even state it in here now if you want to. I say something about he's getting out of the car somewhere in here. I'm 55 or something. 53. Yeah, it's 53. I think.
And you said that this discussion about money, you hadn't asked for the money because you thought he was a pretty nice guy. Is that right?
Say that again?
You hadn't asked for the money in advance because you thought he was a pretty nice guy. Is that right?
Yeah, because I had traveled with him from Tampa to Daytona. He hasn't tried anything on me yet, so...
All right, and then you go
Get all
on...
the worldly chances, too, when we stop to take leaks and everything.
All right, and Deputy Orzega's just listening now. You said, you talked about the money. He said, this is what Mallory told you, and you said yes. And then he said, okay, waiting for your next explanation. And your answer was, so I said, well, since I've been talking to you all night long, I think you seem like a pretty nice guy, so okay, let's go have fun. So I started to lay down, and he's gonna, unzip his pants.
Objection, Your Honor. Is there a question, or is he just reading her statement to her?
I don't know either.
Did you say that? Is that what happened?
I'm telling you that's not what happened. I'm telling you I'm incoherent again in this statement, not expressing myself right what really happened. And I go into other details with other people in here where I'm totally talking about one person and another person, even talking about Richard
Maybe
Mallory
I
in
have to
there.
advise you not to talk
Okay.
about any other charges.
Well, you're talking about Mr. Mallory here, though, weren't you?
Apparently it says this is what Mr. Mallory told you. I say yes, but then you go okay, and then I go carry on. But believe me, I'm not talking. I'm incoherent. I'm not saying it right.
Well, this doesn't sound incoherent.
I'm thinking of another incident with him.
Listen to this sentence. You said, why don't you take your clothes off? My God, I said, well, it hurt to do that.
Yeah, that sounds pretty incoherent to me.
And then he got pissed, called me, he said, fuck you, baby. I'm going to screw you right here and now, or something like that. Was that Mr. Mallory?
I didn't remember the night what happened. I did the best I could to get close on that particular thought in mind.
And he went on to say that you were in the woods with the door open, right?
Pardon, what'd you say?
He went on to acknowledge that you were in the woods and the doors of the automobile were open.
They were not open.
But you said they were.
Again,
I'm gonna have to go over this with you 100 times over, because I'm
I'm just
not.
asking you to answer, did you say they were at that time?
I said they were at that time, I guess. I mean,
All right, good.
Don't
We've
even-
heard your explanation. All you have to do is answer yes or no
Yes.
to this part of the question, okay? And then the question about money. Right after the word okay, you said, I remember that, referring to the woods and the doors open. You said, and I said, no, you're not going to just fuck me. You got to pay. Is that what you said to Mr. Mallory?
like I said,
Is that what you said to Miss Mallory? Yes or no?
if that's what's in the confessions, I guess I can't say that it isn't. It's there.
Is that what you said to him?
No, I'm saying no.
Okay.
I didn't say it right.
And you say it's because you were totally incoherent and didn't understand what you're doing.
Yes, I was, totally. And if you would have saw me 45 minutes before I even talked on the confessions, and when I just got off that phone, you would have seen me in a total hysterical state. Wow. I couldn't stop laughing and crying and everything else that was going on.
And then you continued to say, you said, and he said, oh, bullshit. And that's when I got pissed. Isn't that what you said?
If that's what...
Objection, Your Honor, that's not what it says.
That's one person.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
You're correct. Thank you, counsel. And he said, oh, bullshit. And that's when he got pissed. Is that right?
If that's what it says in there, but I'm telling you, like I said before, I would talk about one person, and then it would be another person I'm talking about, then another person, and it would be Mallory I'm talking about. With mixing up even, I had it so mixed up in here. There's just, Tyra asked me to get drunk and erase these incidents. Keep erasing. That's just what I did. I erased. And when they started questioning me on these, I was totally lost because I couldn't remember. I had blank spots all.
Well, how about today? You told a story about alcohol and anal rape, and you had all sorts of details that you never, ever revealed to the police. Right?
Never ever what?
Revealed to the police.
And I can talk about every one now today. But
Would you
I'm
like to
not
do that?
going to, no.
Objection, Your Honor. Reading again, I would advise you not to talk about any other incident other than Mallory.
Let's see.
Thank you, Your Honor. You say, well, I'm coming back to recollection. Okay, so then we started fighting and everything else, and I jumped out. He grabbed my bag, and I grabbed my bag, and he arm busted, and I got the bag again, and I pulled it out of his hand. And that's when I grabbed the pistol. That's what happened. What?
No. That is a totally different guy.
And I just shot him in the front seat. Shot Mr. Mauer in the front seat.
But not that way. That's not what happened. I told you it was a different guy, and it even states it was a different guy. That's the same phrase that I say, it's a different story.
Would you tell us who you were talking about here?
Your Honor,
No, I
objection.
can't.
Same objection.
She went on to say that, in fact, you showed where the bullet struck on the videotape, didn't you?
Pardon?
You stood up and showed where the bullet struck on the videotape on the right side, didn't you?
I tried to. I don't remember how I was. Matter of fact, yesterday I didn't notice what I was doing.
And that was talking about Mr. Mallory, wasn't it?
I guess.
Then you go on to page 10 and say, okay, then he proceeded to get out of the car. So he started to get out of the car, I ran around in front of the car, and he started coming towards me.
Your Honor, I'm going to have to object. Again, the prosecutor is reading her statement. He's not asking any questions. If he has questions, I'm sure she'll answer, as long as it pertains to Mallory.
Just ask questions.
Is that what you told Deputy Ortega?
If it's written there, I guess that's what it says. I can't take the typing and erase it and change it over. I'm trying to tell you the truth today, what actually happened. This is incoherent mishmash jazz.
And then on page page 53.
Again, Your Honor, same objection. He's reading the transcript.
Page 53, I don't know if there's a question
Well, let's go back to 21. You certainly are willing to admit he's behind the steering wheel when you shot him, aren't you?
I was lying down in the passenger seat, lying down across the whole darn front seat, actually.
He was behind the wheel.
He was up on his knee, one leg down, one knee up on the seat.
And you were lying down?
My legs were up, and he was having me spread my legs.
Well, if that was true, wouldn't the bullet have gone in and come out up high?
Objection, Your Honor.
It was test questions, sir.
Can you explain why the bullet with which you shot him inside didn't enter
Objection.
low and go upward and high if you were lying on a seat shooting up?
Objection, Your Honor.
Overruled.
I thought that whatever he was so decomposed you couldn't tell. How can you say that?
The pathologist said.
I couldn't tell you. All I know is I shot from the seat down, lying down.
You shot him immediately, didn't give him a chance to say anything, did you?
Am I supposed to stop the clock and rationalize with this guy who wanted to kill me? Who said he was going to kill me?
You didn't give him a chance to say anything when you shot him the first time, did you?
No, I didn't.
What about the second time?
Nope.
What about the third time?
Nope.
What about the last time when you shot him on the ground?
I didn't shoot him on the ground. I shot him as he was coming out of the car. And I shot him. I told him to stop. Don't move no more. Don't come toward me anymore. And just stay there. He didn't listen. He was coming out of the car, and I shot him again because I didn't know what the dickens he was doing. I didn't know if he had another gun under the seat. I didn't know if he was going to reach for another weapon. I don't know what he had.
He didn't have a weapon in that car, did he?
How do I know?
Did he have a weapon in the car?
No, he didn't. But how did I
And then
know?
after you shot him, you ran around in front of the car, came around to his side, and shot him some more.
Objection, Your Honor, asked and answered several times.
Stay.
And you said he kind of crawled out of the car and shut the door, right?
He didn't shut the door. I shut the door afterward.
And then you drove to Quail Hollow or Quail Run.
Mm-hmm.
Whereabouts in Quail Run did you go?
Just as soon as you get off the road, just right there's some place you can park.
Why did you go there?
Because I was totally nude and I had to get my clothes on, and I also was shook up and I was crying vehemently, and I had to get my head back together. Of course, I can't ride around nude. I can't drive nude.
How'd you know where Quail Run was?
Because I live out there.
You do that neighborhood, did you?
I know all of Daytona. I've been here since 1974. And I lived in Bunnell.
And then you went and got some gas, right?
Very little.
You went back to the hotel and you told Ty you borrowed the car. Right?
I told Tyra when I got into the motel room and saw the furniture totally destroyed and everything else, I was going to just not even tell her the car was out there. I was just going to take a shower and then go back out and hurry up and get rid of it. But when I said that, I said, oh man, we got to get out of here. The manager's going to call the cops or whatever. So I told her, I said, I just borrowed a car and a guy's in the motel waiting. I got to bring it back in 2 hours.
You went in Mr. Mallory's pockets and took his goods and his money, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I went and got his keys. His wallet wasn't even on his possession. It was underneath the seat of the car.
You turned his pockets inside out.
Just to get the keys out of his pocket.
And
I'm sure it just came with the keys. His pocket opened with
He had some pretty tight jeans on.
And they were still zipped up, weren't they?
Yes, they were.
Had his pants on.
Yes, but he was about to unzip them.
And that's what made you mad. He wouldn't take them off.
Nope. That's not what happened.
Then he went on to have the car washed to get rid of any evidence that might be on him, right?
Pardon?
You had his car washed to get rid of any evidence that might be on him?
I had the car washed to make sure my fingerprints weren't in that car because I was scared out of my mind about what I had just done, and that I had to, leave his vehicle somewhere.
And you pawned his radar detector and
I
his
was a
camera.
prostitute, and yes, I did that for food as I laid low. And what was it? Only $30.
And it's $30. What did you get away money from him?
It was for food. Food.
How much money did you get from him?
There was like 38 or 42, $48, something like that. It was less than 50. Well, I remember a 20 and a 10 and some change, like 5 ones or something, 5s and 1s.
When you shot Mr. Mallory, you intended to kill him, didn't you?
Objection, Your Honor.
I had no choice.
You intended to kill him, didn't you?
I had no choice. I couldn't stop the clock and say, well, let's see where I can shoot him at so he'll stay alive. I had to immediately shoot. He was going to kill me. He was going to beat the living daylights out of me, choke me to death, whatever he was going to do this week.
You've explained that several times. Just answer the question. You intended to kill him, didn't you?
I say no. And here's your answer. No.
You shot him in the chest?
I had no choice. Wherever I shot him and it killed him, I had no choice. I didn't have a chance to stop the clock and say, shoot him in the leg, shoot him in the foot, shoot him in the arm. And I'm not the greatest aimer. I did whatever I had to do at the quickest moment and out just as fast as possible. It was spontaneous reaction.
Shot him once in the side, right? Right?
Your Honor, I'm going to have to object, asked and answered several times.
And you shot him in the neck, right?
I didn't know he got shot in the neck at all. I didn't hear that he got shot in the neck.
Well, did you see his shirt with a bullet hole in the collar?
Yeah, and that...
Objection, Your Honor.
Okay.
She's already testified she can't remember where he was shot.
Well, didn't you tell Deputy Horzett on page 25, and the question was, but when you decided to pull that gun, that person was going to die. I mean, you weren't just going to shoot him. Remember that question?
Yes.
You remember your answer? Oh, I was definitely going to shoot him and let him die.
Page, Counselor.
Isn't that what you said, page 58?
Yes, and I'm referring to a certain situation, and that's the thing. There's certain situations here where there's a number, and every incident was a different situation of the violence that was involved and the fear and everything else in a certain situation. So when I talk I'm getting those questions, I'm referring of certain situations, of certain people and everything else to see if you can't, nothing can be level to one person.
You can tell it all if you want.
Objection, Your Honor. It's in bad faith for him to continue to do this.
She keeps acting like we're stopping her. We're not stopping her. Yes, sir. Page 58, again, a little ahead of where you said, I was definitely going to shoot him and let him die. These questions are asked by Deputy Horzett. He said, did you give an electric razor to the gentleman who owned the little restaurant where you stayed at? Your answer was, yes, I did. And the question was, whose razor did that belong to? He said, I think that was Mallory's. Question, Richard Mallory's razor? Uh-huh. Did you give that gentleman or his wife anything else as gifts? Uh-huh. I just wanted to get rid of the razor because I didn't.
Objection, Your Honor. Is this a question or is he going to read her transcript?
Were those the questions and answers that you gave? Questions asked and answers which you gave?
Yes, and amazingly, that some of the short some of the small...
You can explain later. Were those the questions asked and your answers? Yes, sir?
Yes, I'm answering.
And I'd ask you to look at Exhibit 122. That doesn't appear to be Mr. Mallory's razor.
Okay.
I am going to have to object to the prosecutor ripping open the evidence and throwing it down in front of my client.
You know your objection.
Thank you.
May proceed, Mr. Tanner.
Is that his razor?
I don't know. I was not shown the razor when they asked me, so therefore I do not know if this is his razor or not. I don't know who it belongs to. But he did have one.
Hard to keep up with that much property, isn't it?
Objection.
Hard to keep up with that much property that you take, isn't it?
Objection.
Say the objection.
I ask that you instruct the jury to disregard.
You're disregard of that comment or question.
Your call where you asked me to explain the items, your answer was, I just wanted to get rid of the razor because I didn't, what do I need it for? And I just, are nice to me and ship. So I decided to give them the razor for Christmas or something.
Your Honor, objection again. Is there a question?
Is there a question?
I'm about there, Your Honor. That was referring to Mr. Mallory's razor, right?
Like I say, I don't know if that's his razor or not, and I don't need to lie, he had a razor, but I don't know where. I don't know what it looks like. I know that Tyra wanted me to keep a razor for her to shave her legs with, and that is the only reason I kept the darn thing in the first place. I didn't care about it. I just could have threw it with everything else
My
away.
question to you was this. You were talking about Mr. Mallory's razor at that time.
Yes.
Okay. And then the next question to you after you're talking about Mr. Mallory's razor, you said, so you, after all these...
Objection, Your Honor.
I'll move past that question.
Just answer the question.
The next question after that was it, but when you decided to pull that gun, that person was going to die. I mean, you were just going to shoot him. And your answer, I was just...
Objection, Your Honor.
Approach the bench.
Just approach the bench, is right.
And I haven't been able to sit and rationalize out, to think it out and realize what I'm saying, because I'm under too much stress, hysteria, everything else. I don't answer any of this jazz correctly. So if I state something like that and it sounds kind of rough, I didn't mean it that way. I just was too under stress and tense. I didn't know how to explain myself.
Well, you also explained to Deputy Orzappo, did you not, that you had to kill because if you didn't kill him, he'd be identified and arrested.
Say that over again.
You had to kill him because if you didn't kill him,
Objection,
he'd be
Your Honor. Is he
identified.
referring to Mallory?
I don't know. What page?
And what page?
What page?
Page 7, tape 1.
Page what? 1?
7, tape 1. Page 7, tape 1.
Your Honor, I object. This is not related to Mallory.
Oh, but it is. May we approach the bench?
No, you may proceed.
I'm going to move for a mistrial, Your Honor.
Overruled. Party nine, business.
Page 7. Says, so I shot him, and then I thought to myself, well, hell. Might as well just keep shooting them, because I gotta kill the guy.
Objection, Your Honor, again, the same grounds, and I move for a mistrial. This is not,
If you'll approach the bench, I'm going to
Didn't you tell Deputy Orzeva that taking Mr. Mallory's property was your final revenge on him?
I told him, if I say it like that and hear like I'm wrong, but this is how I feel. I felt like what he did to me was unnecessary, and so therefore when I took his property for food, I figured, well, like, I don't know, it was like,
Councilman, we have the page. And what is it?
No, she remembers it. She remembers.
like he owed me for what he did.
Objection, Your Honor.
I don't know.
advise of the page. You witness can answer this.
So when
Did you tell Deputy Orzeva maybe it was self-defense, maybe it was stupid?
Page, Counselor.
Yes. Take 2, page 29.
did I tell him what?
Maybe it was self-defense, maybe it was stupid.
I recall reading that.
I want to speak.
Yes, sir.
May we approach the bench?
No, just correct me.
I recall,
Same objection, Your Honor, not focused, and again, we would move for a mistrial. It's generic.
Objection is sustained. Administrator.
Don't answer the questions. Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, may we, sometime this afternoon have legal argument on some of their objections. Thank you. Tell Deputy Orzeva you didn't know why you killed Richard Mallory.
I couldn't hear you.
Did you tell Deputy Orzeva you didn't know why you killed Richard Mallory?
Page, please.
Sure.
What page?
Page 4.
On the first one or
Yes.
second?
First. But what I did, I don't understand why I did it.
Again, Your Honor, I object. I would direct you not to answer the question, Lee.
I'm not going to.
If you advise the client not to answer, we will proceed to the next question.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Now, this wasn't also, did you say that you knew you had to because you knew you left some witness out?
Objection,
Did
Your
you
Honor.
find out who you were? You get caught?
Objection, Your Honor, same grounds, they have instructed.
Inspection of the transcript, counsel needs to bring it forward.
May we just ask the witness, Your Honor, if it involves Mallory?
No, I won't see this. Your questions are correct.
Is one of the reasons you killed Mr. Mallory because you didn't want him to tell on you after you shot him? You were in the dilemma, you already shot
When
him.
the question that you asked before, when I had to do what I had to do, if he would have been alive, he would have probably told the cops I tried to rob him and kill him, which is not true, because I am a prostitute. Nobody was going to believe that I'm a prostitute and that he raped me and that he tried to strangle me and kill me and that he was going to probably do all kinds of other things to me throughout the whole day, the next morning, or whatever, how long he was going to keep me. I don't believe that anybody would have believed me, because we've got prostitutes out there that are being killed every day and nobody cares about it. And we've got women being raped every day, and it doesn't seem they're prostitutes, that nobody cares about it. And I have witnessed it with my own eyes, reading the newspapers numerous times. So I believe that nobody would have believed me. So when I made that statement, I meant referring to the fact that nobody would have believed that I was raped and that I had to defend myself. They would have said, "You're a prostitute, we don't care."
So you decided you had to go ahead and kill him.
I didn't, when he was dying, I'm talking about I'm talking about different situations. I'm telling you, I'm not talking about Richard Mallory there. No. I'm talking about a totally different situation.
Well, what had you decided when you
And
shot
I'm not
him?
going to talk about it.
After you went around, what had you decided when you shot him the last time, square in the chest?
When he was coming out of the vehicle, that's where it was very obvious to shoot at.
And you say that here you are, a woman who is ravaged and naked, right? Right?
Yes, I was naked.
Cord marks around her neck where she's been strangled, right? Right?
Yes,
Bleeding from the anus where you've been raped, right?
yes,
Alcohol in Visine bottles where this torture took place, right?
there's alcohol drinks on the hub.
The alcohol was squirted up your anus.
Oh, yes,
A cord with which you had been tied to the wheel and held by the neck.
yes.
And no one would believe that you'd been assaulted?
The marks on my neck were very small. They looked like hickeys.
Well, how about your anus? You said it was bleeding, you was ripped.
It's the way I was too, what am I supposed to do, walk out there nude with a gun in my hand down the road?